So let me ask you a question. Let's say that you need surgery. Are you going to the family doctor or are you going to the surgeon who does that surgery every single day? That's the question that I'm posing here today when you think about your retirement planning. Are you working with a family doctor or are you working with a specialist who does that every day? And this is something that we see a lot of people who come to see us that bring up that point. I'm working with an advisor right now, but they only do investment management. They only, sell insurance products. Are they a generalist or a specialist? So that's what we're going to break down today in today's video of Joe Knows Retirement.
Joe knows taxes.
Joe knows the market.
Joe knows Social Security.
Joe knows income planning.
Joe knows pickleball? No.
This is Joe Knows Retirement.
I know me that if I have a serious health issue, I'm going to the specialist, I'm going to the surgeon, I'm going to someone who's done that hundreds of times versus someone who is just someone who just sees everything and doesn't really dive deep into any specific topics. And that's the way we see with the type of planning we do here at Peak Retirement Planning. We focus on comprehensive planning, the 5 pillars of planning for retirement planning for those who we consider our Midwestern millionaires. And the Midwestern Millionaire is a book that I'm writing that will be out here soon. And basically for those who have $1 million or more, who have been diligent savers, who have been hardworking, who have been frugal. We often think of these people as the best savers, but the worst spenders, right? Because it's built into them to just be very frugal. And so these types of people have done the right thing over all their years. They may have their house paid off at this point. They've been saving into their 401ks over all the years. They never made millions of dollars, but maybe they made $100,000 to $200,000 over each year over time, and they were just hardworking people who did the right thing. And so for that person, their type of planning is going to be different than someone who doesn't have as much money. I think there's a stat out there that says that 60% of people have less than $1,000 in their bank account. That is not the Midwestern Millionaire. And so the type of planning that that person needs versus the Midwestern Millionaire is going to be completely different. And so that's why this channel is designed for those people who are 55 to 70, in or near retirement, have saved $1 million or more, and are looking for more advanced planning with their situation. Some of the strategies we talk about on these videos aren't going to be needed for someone who only has $200,000 saved up in their 401k. Their scenario may be a lot more simpler, that they're not going to necessarily need that type of specialist advice. They may be able to get by with the generalist with something that's a little more simple. Is something that we want to consider for that. And then when you look at the 5-pillar approach that we talked about, that's going to really specialize in that Midwestern Millionaire person of all 5 things that they need in place as they enter retirement. There's probably not going to be too many videos, on our channel or within our 5-pillar process where we talk about student loan debt or we talk about credit card debt, because most of our clients obviously don't deal with that. They're dealing with more of tax problems with their investments. They've got large tax deferred dollars that they're wondering what to do with. They are now time to be on Medicare, and they want to worry about Part B Medicare premiums and the cost of that based on their income. They want to make sure they get the right Medicare supplemental plan when they enter retirement. They now have to figure out how to get income from their investments because they're no longer working at this point. And they now maybe are considering protecting their investments at this point rather than having everything in the market like they did all their years while they were earning and accumulating and going up the mountain. Now it's time to go down the mountain, which again requires that specialist we're talking about. And they're also probably getting more real about estate planning, making sure the right documents are in place, but then actually getting an exact estate plan to ensure that Uncle Sam's not going to be a beneficiary on these accounts, to do some tax planning to ensure that these accounts, this wealth transfer is going to happen in the most efficient way. And so obviously what I just mentioned is going to be for that specific crowd and is not for everyone. And that's why we've designed our firm here to work with that crowd specifically, because that's where we do our best work. We're not going to be able to specialize and help everyone if we really want to go deep into planning. And really our goal here is to be the best firm, not the biggest firm. And if we wanted to be the biggest firm, we'd go out there and say, we'll help anyone, we'll help everyone, we'll give a really low level of service just so we can just bring on as many people as we can. And we could do that if we want. We have a lot of people that want to come work with us, but we don't do that because we want to work with the people that we get to have a good fit with, that we feel comfortable working with, that they feel comfortable working with us, and that we can use our skills and our processes to do the best work for them is what our goals are. And so if you're in that category, then one, this this video, these YouTube videos are going to be great for you because that's exactly who we speak to. And I would recommend that you subscribe to this channel. And then if you're saying, hey, this is exactly the type of planning that I'm looking for from an advisor team moving forward, then you can go in the description below. You can schedule a 15-minute call. And in that call, we can see if we could be a good fit to work together. And we could set another session to explore further to see if this could be an opportunity for the both of us. And so that's something that, we want you to make sure you're listening to the right content and getting the right type of help. And so back to the concept of this specialist versus generalist. How do you know who a generalist is and who a specialist is, right? And so in our industry, it can be hard because there's a lot of advisors out there. There's a lot of people who call themselves financial planners, but may not be financial planners. And so as examples, we get people who come and see us where their advisor has helped them over the last 30 years, and they've done well for them. They've helped their investments grow, but that's about it. They've only focused on the investment over time. They haven't really done any financial planning. They haven't done any retirement planning. They haven't done any income planning, any tax planning. And so that's really all they've done. The unfortunate part of it is they may be charging a full fee to do that planning. So our advice to people in those scenarios is, hey, look, what are you looking for? Are you just looking for investment management? If so, you can typically either do that on your own and make sure you maybe use a robo-advisor or some type of professional investment management that could cost you probably half of that, if not less, if that's all you want. But if you do want comprehensive planning, then you probably are going to have to pay that full 1% fee to get that level of planning each year ongoing, depending on your asset size. That's going to depend on the fee typically. But if that's the case, then you want to make sure you get all the things that you get versus just one thing. So 5 pillars versus 1 pillar is the way we try to communicate that to the people that we work with. And so in my mind, those who just do investments, those are the generalists. And so, do you really want to trust someone with your life savings throughout retirement with someone who only focuses on going up the mountain? And so that's a question you have to pose for yourself. But there are firms out there like ourselves that's what they do. They specialize in retirement planning and all the things that go along with it, which allows them to have those firms to have processes in place to accomplish those things that they see every single day. This isn't the first retirement those firms have served. They've served hundreds of people just like you to ensure success. And so again, this is something you could do on your own too. And we often ask this question in a humorous way of, how many retirements have you planned? Do you really want to trust yourself on the retirement planning moving forward, especially knowing how much tax rules change, how closely you have to follow the market, how much you have to, make decisions on all the parts of your financial plan. And, as we know in retirement, 1, 2, 3 mistakes can be extremely costly. And so working with a team that does that and knows what to do is going to be extremely valuable. It's something that we encourage. Obviously I'm biased. I'm a financial planner. We get paid based on clients working with us. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe in it, and I know the value that we can deliver, and other advisors can deliver as well who do the right thing. And who is that right team? Like I said, you want to work with someone who is more specialized in that specific retirement planning. We'd want to recommend you work with someone who specializes in tax planning. That's another one we don't see very often. We have a lot of people who come to us who specifically come to us for our tax planning approach. They read my book, I Hate Taxes, and they want to make sure that they're not missing anything on that. And so many people come to us and say, my advisor's never even looked at my tax return. My advisor doesn't prep my taxes. My advisor doesn't talk about Roth conversions. My advisor doesn't talk about where the best place to take out money for my investments are. He just takes it out and it's pro rata and that's all it is. Well, that's not tax planning. You need to make sure you're looking at all those things to make sure that nothing is missed. And again, that's a specialist versus a generalist. And so those are some of the considerations that you may want to look for in that team to serve you ongoing. And I think another important part of this whole specialist idea is to work with a firm who has everything under one roof, because again, they're going to have that specialty to serve that type of crowd, that 1 million or more who needs that more advanced planning. So something that we do is have the CPA, the attorney, the financial planner all collaborate together. So we don't go into meetings without those professionals together, because we see how valuable it is. If we trusted our clients to go to see an estate planning attorney to get their documents, how do we know that attorney's doing the right thing for them? How do we know that they're understanding their goals and their needs, better than we have? And so that's why we like to collaborate to make sure nothing's missed. But then also, once the documents get in place, they get built, how do we make sure they're in place? And so that's something that we enjoy having that collaboration of. But also, a lot of advanced estate planning strategies and tax planning strategies play together. And so that's why we want to make sure we're working those two parts together. And then for the CPA, how are you going to know if you're doing advanced tax planning strategies? how is the CPA going to know what that you did throughout the year and make sure that it's done the right way? That's why we like having it in-house, to make sure that we can collaborate with the CPA and tell them exactly, here's what we did from a tax planning standpoint. Now let's make sure from a tax prep standpoint, January to April, that gets filed to the IRS the correct way. And then it makes it easier for our clients because they don't have to worry about that side of the game. And so again, just having all that in one roof, the Medicare specialist, make sure you're working with a team that can help you with any insurance needs that you have as well, so that you don't have to go to some insurance salesperson or some insurance agency to get that done, is something that can be very valuable as well. And that's what a lot of clients like to work with us for, is that we have everything in one roof, to have everything working together, so that nothing is missed there. And this type of approach is typically called a family office. Some of you are probably familiar with that concept. With a family office, so typically that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and it's typically only for those with $30 million or more to get that level of service from everything in one roof, from the 5 pillars of planning. Typically there's some other services that they offer that a firm like us wouldn't offer, just because it's not really needed for the crowd that we work with. But if you are looking for that type of service, a family office is something that you're going to want to look into, and that's going to allow you to have all of that at your fingertips with the planning that we've discussed there. And that's really what we've tried to do here at Peak Retirement, is provide that family office feel, but at a much affordable price, where our clients don't have to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get that planning, but they can still get it done efficiently and effectively for what their needs are. And another area where working with a specialist can be, I would say even more fun is the word maybe to use than a generalist, is, like a lot of our clients, I'll just tell a story here. A lot of our clients are really good savers, but they're really bad spenders. And so because we understand that Midwestern millionaire persona of how frugal they've been over all their years, we know how to communicate with them to effectively make sure that they live out that purpose that they want over their retirement. Most people say, most people don't say, I'll put it this way, they don't say they don't want to spend any money in retirement. They want to spend money, they want to enjoy the retirement, but sometimes their behaviors, their habits don't allow them to do so. And so something that we do for our clients is we help them find their purpose with their money. If it isn't to spend it, then we need to put together a plan of how we're going to give this money away the best way. Are we going to give it now while we're living, or are we going to give it when we pass away? Are we going to give this to family members, or are we going to give this to charities? And based on that is how we're going to make sure we effectively do tax planning and other strategies to make sure that whatever you want to do happens in the most effective way. So that's, one consideration here. But the other consideration is what if you want to spend your money in retirement? What if you want to enjoy what you have? Well, then we need to make sure that, one, we don't run out of money, but also we need to put together a specific plan to ensure we know how much to spend each year, and to be able to adjust that based on how our planning goes, right? Based on how the market plays out, based on how, the taxes play out, based on Social Security, Medicare, all these things playing together. How do we know we can have a reasonable, rock solid plan to be able to do what we want in retirement? So if you're not working with someone who specializes in income planning or specializes in working with people in that persona to have those types of conversations to encourage and hold you accountable to spend the money, then you may not be able to get that done. And something that we always tell clients is, we don't want you to be 20 years from now and look back at your retirement and say, man, I wish I would have done more. I regret that I didn't go on that trip. I regret that I didn't spend more time with the grandkids. I regret that I didn't spend more money on the grandkids or take the family on that trip. Those are the things that we want to try to avoid with people, to ensure that, hey, are you really living your retirement how you want to? We had a client come to us, and they were 62 years old when they came and saw us, but they told us that when they were 60, they had a 15-year plan to enjoy their retirement. Well, they were 2 years into this plan, and they hadn't done that to the ability that they wanted to yet. And so they basically on their watch said, we have 13 more years and we need to get going. But the problem was that they're Midwestern millionaire, that middle class millionaire who it's hard for them to take that paradigm shift of now spending money versus saving money. And so for them, it was hard to do. Now what we did with them is we told them, no problem, you missed the first 2 years. Now we need to overspend these 2 years we missed. And now we get to spend 15 years worth of spending in 13 years, right? So we get to have more fun over the next 13 years, but something that our job is to hold them accountable to making sure that they're planning out these trips, because if you get behind, you may miss them. But that also means you're not going to get that bucket list completed. You're not going to be able to do the things and experience that you've always wanted to do. So again, just working with someone who understands you and your situation. We always say that people work with people they like and trust. And so work with someone who understands you and your situation. And if you are that Midwestern millionaire, as we talk about, we feel like we're the firm to serve that person the best. That's who we are. I'm from a rural community. I'm a country boy, and so I like to use the concept of when we do business with people, we look them in the eye, we shake their hand, and we get the job done. And so if you're looking for a team that understands you and your values and your traits, then feel free to schedule a time down below if this is the type of planning you're looking for, and we could see if we could potentially help you moving forward. I do want to let you know that we do have a lot of people who reach out to us. We can't bring on everyone that we meet with, but we'll at least make sure that we can either guide you in the right direction if we can't, or if we can explore further of what that would look like to work together. So regardless of that, regardless of your situation, we're here to help. We hope you enjoy the channel, and we'll have many more videos coming your way.